Hey, I'm your host, Scott, Dr. Jakes Goldfine, and this is the 11th episode of the Jam Fans Forum. This is a show in which expert panelists provide their top picks in various funk music categories. Last time around, we took on naming the top funk rock songs of all time. This time, we're looking through a similar but different lens for the rough and tumble topic of the top 5 rock funk songs of all time. That is the funkiest rock songs. These are tracks that were influenced by funk, influenced funk themselves, or overtly are funky themselves, or have some subtle funk elements or flavor. That's what we're looking for tonight. So the goal is objectivity, as with all Jam Fan shows, and some subjectivity is inevitable. That's what makes this so fun and spicy. Joining me again are 3 esteemed Jam fans. They are, first back, we welcome funk crusader, educator, host of the Uncut Funk radio show. It's Phil Colley. Hey, Phil.
What's up, everybody? Hey, glad to do it again. Round 2. Let's do it.
Also back in the saddle is radio personality, music historian, TV One Unsung contributor, author, and actor, Marcus Chapman.
What's happening? What's happening?
What's up, Marcus?
Hey.
And then finally, we welcome back veteran Uncle Jam's Army alumni and co-host of the Funkin Around podcast, along with PTFI's Anthony Bryant, a.k.a. Dav Id K-OS. What's up, Chaos?
What's up, y'all?
Hey, thank you, everybody, for coming back and running this back again and for keeping the funk alive, first and foremost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the full criteria for this particular show is in the description, so check it out there. But before we dive in, let's just get, the mood set by touching on everybody's approach to this particular topic, funky rock tracks. So let's start with Chaos. What was your approach to this one?
I guess I'm just looking for funk. Anything that has like a kind of like a slow, bluesy, as Buddy Miles would say, gut bucket feel to it. With a hard edge, kind of hard edge, maybe a little poppiness to it, but
That's fine. That's fine. We can appreciate you, man. Phil, what for you winks for a funky rock track or for this type of criteria that we're doing tonight?
Kind of when you named the elements we were looking for, that was one. The other was, as I started going through some of these tracks, part of it was, man, what's rock, but just really moves me with that hard, that makes me groove like a funk track. Because, the funk will make you have to, all music will make you move some type of way, regardless as to what it is, whether you just tapping your foot or humming along. But, the funk will make you. So I looked for that element, what made me bob my head hard. The other thing that I looked for as I was going through some of these tracks was, back in the day, what rock or, rock bands or rock edge bands played something that R&B radio or R&B fans or funk fans gravitated towards. There were certain songs, and I can name them because we might not get around to, but I can name off some songs that back in the day or even now that if you're a fan of the funk, you might hear this song and it's not a funk song, but it's like, damn, this is a bad month, So that was
Shut your mouth.
yeah, that was like my criteria, man. What
Talking about funk rock.
right? What moved me, whether it's like really funk or funk tinged or a hint of funk. What moved me, even though it was like categorized in the rock genre.
Yeah, I can dig it, man. And some of those that you mentioned or alluded to, Phil, that got played in love on black radio, a lot of times I was like, I don't know what it is about that track. It's got a certain because it's not even necessarily funky, but it clicked for whatever reason. So interesting.
Exactly. And if I name a couple of those in the course of this 5, it'll kind of explain what the feel. And you're going to say, yep. So stay tuned.
All right. Marcus, what about for you?
Well, I was always kind of around rock because different people in my family were into it, especially my cousins who got me into funk. They were also into Zeppelin and Floyd and a lot of stuff. But I would say in like 1998, I dove totally into rock from the 70s, late 60s. I started listening to classic rock radio and actually going out and buying those records. Because when I grew up, my parents they had a little clock radio in their room. I'm talking about when I was a little kid, like nursery school. And here in Chicago, they had WLS. So I heard a lot of the rock acts, but they didn't buy those records. So I didn't see those artists. But when I went and got them and started really listening to classic rock radio and getting books and stuff, there were certain tracks that, even though they were rock, they put me in a frame of mind of funk. So any track that did that was something that was on my radar for what my choices might be that I heard. I was like, oh, this is definitely rock, but oh, this is funky right here. I like this. This has a different vibe to it. So that was kind of my criteria.
Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate that. For me, I think can be a fine line when you're grooving to a rock track and it's got that rhythm. If it's more a bluesy influence or a funk influence, sometimes maybe it's both, you know. And some of those 70s tracks, I remember listening to them and playing them, and I was heavily into funk, but some of those rock tracks captivated me, and I couldn't figure out why. And then it was like a cousin or somebody told me, because it's funky. I'm like, I guess, yeah, it is funky, but I didn't really think of it in that terms. So hopefully we'll open some eyes and some ears in this list we go through here like that. We're going to have 20 total picks, 5 from everybody. Those that say something that someone else has in mind, that person's going to pivot to something else. And then at the end, we'll go through some honorable mentions as well. So let's let it rip. Let's keep it with Marcus and let him do number 1. You get the advantage here of going first, Marcus.
Okay. So as I said, in 1998, I got heavy into classic rock. And starting in 2000, I started going to rock concerts, seeing some of those old bands. And normally I'd be the only black guy there. That's what was funny about it. Matter of fact, the first one I went to go see Kiss. And there was this older black lady working at the venue. And she's like, oh, no, baby, Frankie Beverly and Mays was last week. You missed it. I'm like, no, I'm not. No. But one of the shows I saw had the 2 former lead singers of what turned out to be my favorite rock band, Van Halen. In 2002, David Lee Roth, the original lead singer, and Sammy Hagar, the guy who replaced him, did a tour together. And it was legendary because they had been known for hating each other, but they got together, did this tour. Sammy Hagar opened it up. They would alternate depending on the city. I was in Dallas, and it's the show I went to, Sammy Hagar opened up. He did a variety of stuff from his career. David Lee Roth strictly did older Van Halen songs. And at that time, those songs had not been performed in a long time. And one of my biggest and funniest memories from that show was watching this couple dance to this one particular song. The guy had his baseball hat on turned backwards. He had the brew in his hand. His girlfriend was popping a little booty on him. And he was like, yeah. So the song they were dancing to is my first pick. It's the song that closes out the second Van Halen album, Van Halen 2, and it's called Beautiful Girls.
Classic riff on that one for sure.
Yeah, especially when it gets to the latter part of the song, they kind of change it up. It gets even funkier then. So yeah, it's one of my all-time favorites. And yeah, great record, great funky rock track.
A lot of good riffs on that one that had some funk flavor or vibe or influence for sure. I think I don't know if David Lee Roth or Van Halen. I don't know who was the bigger influenced by R&B and funk, but they definitely had it.
Well, apparently David Lee Roth was known.
I think it was him too.
Yeah, they said he would come in with the disco tapes, and he said he was heavily influenced by the black films of the 70s. But they cut their teeth performing in backyards before they got their deal, and they played a lot of Ohio Players and Casey and the Sunshine Band. Matter of fact, the first song on their first album, Running with the Devil, is a playoff of Ohio Players Running from the Devil. Just the title, not the sound. But yeah, so they were already kind of heavy into that funk bag. They just did their own thing with it.
What do you guys think about that pick?
Hey,
As a classic rock band, I never really thought of it until, Marcus brought it up. But they always had that, hint of funk to where, a Van Halen song made you, it put that head up and down. Even something as commercial as what's a big commercial song?
Jump.
Even something as much as Jump, and that was kind of when music was, even the funk was still coming out of the funk disco era into the next phase of what 80s music would become.
Yeah.
And Jump was a song that kind of bridged that gap and that sound. So, Van Halen was always like right there. And, Eddie Van Halen as a guitar player, balls out. So that's a good
Matter of fact, I think Jump is the only song they ever had that got on the R&B chart, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe so, because it just had that.
In fact, I can look that up real quick while I'm sitting here.
Right.
Yeah, my trusty research book here. Let's see.
Okay.
So Marcus, as a fan, did you like the one that I really liked by them that I thought was funky was Dirty Movies?
Yeah, that whole album.
Unchained.
Fair Warning. There's another cut on there. Push Come to Shove is funky. So This Is Love is funky. They got a nice amount of them. But Jump was the only one that got on the R&B chart. And that doesn't surprise me because I remember when it was out, I remember kids around my age actually liking it. And I'm talking about all black kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what my criteria was. Did we like it?
Yeah.
I think it was out same year as Pointer Sisters Jump too. Not mistaken.
Yeah,
it was right around the same time.
What year did that come out? Like 82?
84.
84. Okay.
The album was called 1984.
I was close. Close enough.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I remember hearing one of the Pointer Sisters saying they were concerned about that the songs would get confused. But it worked out good for them too.
Right.
They're both huge hits, and of course Eddie was on Beat It. So I don't know if he was a guest on any other R&B-ish type stuff, but cool. All right. Well, that's getting us off to a really good riffing start. Let's let, I think last time maybe Chaos was second. This time let's mix up, let Phil go next.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one out the way. Chaos, I got you. My first pick is a really, really funky rock band. And I struggled with, all right, what you going to pick? Rage Against the Machine. So when Cal said that we have some Rage Against the Machine, matter of fact, I was bumping it loud in my truck when I pulled up.
Right.
My neighbor said, "Oh, you got that white boy shit playing today, huh?"
Man.
I was like, yeah, man. So anyway, the song that I picked by Rage Against the Machine was Killing in the Name.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're not familiar with it, it's got a lot of, different little changes in it. But, when they just get down with that just like down and dirty bass line, that they hit it, and they got that. And what's my other Rage Against the Machine song that I almost picked? Well, I'm not even going to say it because it might be, if somebody else got some rage, it might be in there. But, and not only did I pick Killing in the Name because of the funk in it, but it's really relevant still. They wrote that song in the response to the Rodney King killing. Mm-hmm. And, it's a lyric in there where it says, some of those that work forces are the same ones that burn crosses. So, it's really, it's funk in the fact that it's funk and it makes you bob your head, but it's also funk in the way that it's got a message for the people. And sometimes the funk is giving the masses a message that they really don't want to hear. Well, we're gonna put that in your face anyway. And that's what I like about Rage Against the Machine is they take their messages and they put them front and center, and they put them front and center with some really funky ass rhythms and some really powerful vocal stylings. So yeah, Rage Against the Machine, man. So for those who happen to be, the four of us and anybody else that we do these panels with, or I'm not gonna say we're well versed, but more or less we may be more versatile in our listening habits than some others. But anybody that's looking at this, if you're not familiar with Rage Against the Machine, while we have this platform to kind of put it out there, get into some Rage Against the Machine catalog and see what you think.
Love that track. Love the band. Such a fierce groove on that one.
They were hot when I was in college. I was in college when they were real big in the 90s. And I remember, cats with them Rage Against the Machine CDs. They were one of those bands that kind of helped define that era to me.
I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, it's from their debut. I mean, it was an incredible debut record.
Yeah, they came out just really they came out hard. I don't know another word to describe it, They came out hard, their musical styling, and it's been a lot of bands since Rage first came out to kind of, jump on board with that style, but it's like it's the funk, it's the rock, it's the hip hop, they really just combine it all and make it a driving
meshed
element,
that,
man.
They metal and hip hop together
to the hip. You got your Linkin Parks and stuff like that, but for me and my money, it's Rage Against the Machine, man.
And Tom Morello was such an innovator on the guitar, making it sound like turntables and everything else. Just incredible.
Yeah. Just rubbing his strings and everything else with the effects on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. That was actually on my honorables, Phil. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my main picks, but I couldn't find them. So I was like,
Wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be chaos on that one, I guess. All right. Well, thanks, Phil. Good picks, man. Those first two really have incredible, unforgettable riffs. So, Chaos, what do you got for us?
Well, seeing that Van Halen was going to be one of my first picks, it was going to be the Fair Warning album.
Okay. What cut were you going with?
It's like a tie with Hear About It Later and Sunday Afternoon in the Park that goes into One Foot Out the Door. So I think I'm gonna go with Hear About It Later got the cowbell going, more cowbell.
Yeah.
But Sunday Afternoon in the Park grabbed me because I wasn't expecting to hear a deep mood bass sound on a Van Halen record like that. And it was that growling bass line. And Alex Van Halen just tearing the drums up. And it was just like it was the right funk tempo for me. And and it's not a hit. It's not single or hit material. It's like just a little extra thing. You could tell it was just like what does this sound like? So that was my pick. That would be mine. I would go with Hear About It Later, but what really grabbed me from that album was Sunday Afternoon in the Park, and then it segs into One Foot Out the Door, where it just they keep that bass going, but now it's like a rock, funk rock, punk, punk rock, punk funk rock song.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That just grabbed me when that album first came out. Um, and besides, that was like their darkest album. When you really look at it, that was like 'cause I remember Eddie I think he was just getting the 5150 studio put together in his house or something. They was going through a lot of things with control over the music. He wanted more, you know. But listening to the first three albums, and then this one you could tell was like yeah. And then after that, it got a little happier. So it was you could just see the to me that was their funkiest album was Fair Warning. So I'm gonna go with Sunday Afternoon in the Park.
Yeah.
A lot of blues in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe unpopular opinion. I guess not in this panel, but yeah, it was my favorite album by them too, because it had just more funk and more darkness and more. Yeah, it was a little more my speed than the other ones.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorites too. It's my third favorite. It goes back and forth, second and third. The debut is my second favorite, and then 1984 is my first. But yeah, Fair Warning, I love. Hear About It Later is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
But I understand the Sunday Afternoon in the Park. Matter of fact, I remember listening to it in the park on Sunday afternoon with a chick I met. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that whole album is great. You can't really miss with two. And it's funny you mentioned One Foot Out the Door. How there's much faster. It kind of reminds me of the last track on Street Songs from Rick James, Below the Funk, Past the J. Not that they similar, but it's how they ended each album with something that was a much faster pace than everything else that was on the album.
All right. Well, I didn't anticipate, Van Halen taking two spots in the opening round, but
2 spots.
Yeah.
Van Halen.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that, Chaos. Appreciate it. So I'm also, Phil, going with a rock band that's considered pretty funky. And this is one that I'll totally give it away to you guys, but George Clinton produced their second album, which I'm not going with that album, but I'm going with the one that to me is their funkiest and best album through and through, which is Blood Sugar Sex Magic. And the track I'm going with, I think I could pick many on this one because they have so many great funk grooves.
Dang, what band are you talking about?
The initials are RHCP. But the track I'm going with is the one that almost closes it. They do a little ditty after this closer, which is a cover of a Robert Johnson song. But I'm doing Sir Psycho Sexy from Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It's an 8-minute slowed down, super funky jam, which has outrageous lyrics, completely funkadelic influenced, like a Ick-a-Prick kind of thing, but their version. And just the groove of it always made me think of like, hey, this is like their Dr. Funkenstein. It's got that similar kind of grind in groove and tempo, crazy lyrics, and just Sir Psycho Sexy. That's my name. That riff and that rhythm, man, that's just bringing together the funk and the rock in a way that just makes it for me. And, this same record had Suck My Kiss, Give It Away. It's just so full of jams.
Man, just
give it away, give it away, give it away. No.
That was, you on point because that album, as I was going through this stuff and I got on the Red Hot Chili Pepper songs and it was like, this one, no, wait, no, this one, no, wait, this one. So I feel your pain, man.
Yeah, they just did it right on that one. The production, Rick Rubin produced, and just they were in a old house in Hollywood with just great resonance of the environment for what they did, and just it's so pure, the instrumentation. You can hear the guitar and the bass and the drums so clearly, and the way they interlock. I just dig it so much. So, Sir Psycho Sexy, Red Hot Chili Peppers, my number one pick. I mean, not rating number one, but my first pick.
First.
Yeah.
That's another one reminds me of college. Just seeing the cover is just because I worked at a record store at the time too. So I remember a lot of people, really digging that one, playing it and everything. Yeah.
Not to mention some great videos.
Yeah.
Great videos.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we're around the same era too. I mean, it was right like early 90s, like you're saying. So we got 2 out of the first 4 are from the early 90s. Interesting. Right on. Anyone got any more comments on that one? If not, we'll move on to round 2. All right. So, Marcus, we're turning back to you to get us into number 2.
All right. So my first pick was from my favorite rock band. My second pick is from my favorite rock album. And it's one of my top 10 albums of all time, period. And really, the whole album has a very strong funk vibe to it. And part of that is because of who's playing on it. You got Bernard Pretty Purdy on drums for most of the tracks. You got Chuck Rainey on bass for most of the tracks. And for the rock vibe, you got some killer guitar solos from Larry Carlton from the Crusaders. And it's, as I said, one of my favorite groups and my favorite rock album. So I'm going to go with Steely Dan from the Royal Scam. I'm going with the first song on here, Kid Charlemagne.
Okay.
Killer song, killer album.
I figured
that album is up there. It's up there for me. That album's up there.
Asia gets the credit for being their best album, which it should. But this one, which came before that, this is the one that moves me the most. I think this is the best one besides Asia.
Yeah, my favorite album is Gaucho, but I digress.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
They're all pretty good one way or another. But yeah, just those players and the production. And yeah, I mean.
Their production, which they were known for doing 1 million takes in the studio. So, Donald and
Walter.
And Walter couldn't, man, brain dead. But they were not. I was, I've read where musicians said they hated working with them at times because they would do a take on something. If they did it once, they'd do it 100 times because they felt like, nah, that wasn't it. Do it again. No, that wasn't it. And guys are like, man, I know I'm nailing this. And they were like, they'd be telling me like, nah, that wasn't it. So.
And on top of that, if they didn't like the take, if they did that enough, they'd get a whole different band in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even like that, man. Thanks for your time.
Right. That's 70s excess at its finest with the
talking about perfectionism.
Yeah.
Which is why we speak so highly of Steely Dan albums, because they are almost what you would consider perfect albums.
Yeah.
Masterpieces.
Just because of the level of, I guess, craftsmanship and perfection that they poured into those albums, and when you hear them, you hear the sound quality, it's like,
yeah,
they didn't rush anything. They didn't rush those albums,
Yeah, precision is the word I was thinking of, but yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when we were talking earlier, Phil, about those tracks that would get, play on black radio, Peg by them was one of those that got picked up quite a bit.
Who knew, but it did, I mean, you even listen to it now, Peg, and it's like, in a way, it's kind of like, what's funky about this song? But by the same token, bam, 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 don't, bam, bam, and you find yourself with the nod, and like, okay, here we go. Yeah,
All
good
right.
choice. Great choice. Great
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Marcus. Phil, you're up to bat here.
Oh, man, what did I just write down? Damn, I'm already up. It's me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number two. For number two, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, and I guess this is gonna be legal. I'm gonna go with the same song with two different versions. Same song, two different versions. One of the and I forgot about that, man. I might have to add that if nobody picks it. A song that got really, really, really heavy rotation when I was in high school by a rocker was a David Bowie track.
Mm.
And when David Bowie hit the airwaves with Fame, we lost it. It's pretty simple. It's almost a simple little song. But that song like just took off. The pop charts, the rock charts, the R&B charts, everybody loved David Bowie, Fame. Everybody loved that track. And then fast forward to the 90s, and you've got Infectious Grooves, kind of led by Suicidal Tendencies, front man. And, they kind of put them a super group together. And they hit a version of Fame that's like out Fame in the original. It's one of those songs, if you haven't heard it, Infectious Grooves version of Fame out funks the David Bowie version, which is why I had to give them both props. Because the original, like, set the template for a rock artist to put out a song that was just like super funky and everybody loved it. And the new one, if radio was now what it still was back then, kind of like New Birth taking over Wildflower from the Skylarks, but they just made it theirs, when GQ took over Sitting in the Park and, different jams like that. When the Ozzy Brothers took over Summer Breeze,
Summer Breeze,
and it's kind of like the second band to do something sometimes and I think if radio was still that, the Infectious Grooves version would I'm not gonna say unfortunately, possibly blow David's version out the water. We started talking about criteria for our songs, and one of my criteria was, would it get play on my show? Would it get play on Uncut Funk with Phil Colley? Because the listeners to my show have a I guess certain set of demands that they want from me. That if you're gonna play it, Phil, it better be funky.
There's a standard,
Standard is the word. If you're gonna play it, it better be funky. It better be something that moves us the same way David Bowie's Fame moved us back then. If you're gonna play something on this show, it better move us. And I don't necessarily always have a theme, but sometimes I go on what I call tangents on my show. And I wanted to do this show because I go off on this tangent a lot. Just like I'll fall off into a funk rock groove or a rock funk groove. And it might not be the theme of the show, but I may stay there for 8, 9, 10, 12 tracks in a row before I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. And I switch to something else. And Infectious Grooves gets heavy, heavy, heavy play on the Uncut Funk, much more than David. David did the Let's Dance and the Fame, and it was some polished up funk. Infectious Grooves is nasty funk.
The Infectious Grooves, is that 80s or 90s? That record?
Infectious Grooves is 90s, man. I had it on here looking at it, but I switched it up to something else. It's 90s though. It's 90s funk, and man, they just really ripped it up when they did that. So yeah, that's my pick, man. Same song, two two different bands, man. Same songs, two different bands. Fame is the song, David Bowie and Infectious Grooves, man. Yeah, 90s. They did tracks between all through the 90s. They did tracks from 91 through 2000.
91. Yeah. Okay.
Through
Yeah.
2000.
All right. Well, that track, I thought about actually picking the original, but to me, it's really more funk than rock almost. It's so funky, that song. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so funky, back then too. Remember the Godfather was copying Fame and what he was doing after that and was claiming that he invented the riff and all that.
Right.
Yeah, this song Your Love. I was just listening to that. No, not Your Love. Hot. I need
Well,
to be loved, loved, loved.
if you know that controversy of Fame, it was written. The guitar line was written by, I believe, it was Carlos Alomar, and he played with James Brown, but James didn't like the song at first, I believe, and so he did that riff with David Bowie when David Bowie and John Lennon wrote Fame, and so it was like now James wants to
Yeah,
do it,
now it blew up. I
and
was
he did it with a song called Hot, and it was the same riff and everything, but it wasn't as funky as the way he did it with David Bowie. So it was like that's a whole show in itself. Just that what how Fame came about and with by the same guitar player played with David Bowie and James Brown, and then
And there's another story. I don't know. I'm sure you all have heard it. George Clinton said him and Jerome Braley were in the car and they heard
oh
Fame
yeah,
on the radio, and he said, "Remember that groove?" And they used that groove to create "Tear the Roof Off the Sucker."
right.
So you got James and George connected. That's one of the
which
key
once
funk rock
again lets
tracks
you know
there.
how funky that really was. You
Yeah.
got you got David, who for whatever reason or wherever it came from, put it out there to the masses, and now you got the funk forefathers saying, "Hey man, I need a piece of that funk right there."
Right.
So that lets you
James
know.
passed it up, man. He had to do it in his band. He didn't want so.
Yeah, he didn't want it at the time.
That was the funk that got
Bowie
away.
was like, "Hey,
I'll do it, mate.
yep,
And I mean, as far as I know, I mean, Bowie never came close to being that funky otherwise. I mean, so it was a big anomaly in his catalog.
Got him on Soul Train.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I did.
yeah, you're right."
Did. You
All
know,
right.
man, Let's Dance was funky in the mode of like a power station type of funky,
Yeah, it had Niles
Mm.
involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funky like that.
Cool. I like that two sides in one track, Phil. Interesting perspective. Thank you for that. Chaos, you've been formulating number two?
Yeah, and I thought you guys was gonna go on a little longer, so you know, because I always come up with these ties because I listen to the whole album and I'm like, okay, it's this one, but nah, it's this one. Then it's like, nah, it's got to be this one. So, but I'm gonna go with King Crimson
Wow.
from the Red album. Uh, there's some glare going on with that, but it's name of the album is called Red, and this is the I think it was around '74. It's around the time Standing on the Verge came out. So Robert Fripp, Bill Bruford, and John Wetton, they were kind of like going into that funk mode. And George talked about King Crimson also in the '60s that was one of the bands that they were listening to, along with MC5 and all of them. So, but on this Red album, there's a song called Starless. And some people mix it up with another uh, album of theirs called Starless and the something something. But it's not the Starless and Bible Black. But it's not that. It's kind of like it was supposed to be, but it's not. So the Starless version is like this 12-minute journey, and it in a way it reminds me of Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow, because it starts off. They have the what's that old keyboard that had the tape and had an orchestra sound like string sounds, but it was like a tape. When you, what did they call that?
Not the ARP string ensemble, not that.
Oh, it was
Not the Mellotron?
the Mellotron. The
Okay.
Mellotron. So it's Mellotron, all and it starts off kind of
What's the name of the song, Carlos?
it's called Starless. Starless. Starless.
Got it.
And I couldn't pick. I guess I'll use the other one as a honorable mention later, but it was like when King Crimson was going into, they were experimenting with a little more funk. And man, it's one of those songs that just you just have to sit back and listen to it, and it'll take you there.
It's
Kind of like,
mind funk, not booty funk. Yeah.
yeah, like Tales of Kid Funkadelic, the title track.
I called them weed songs back in the
And
day.
then they get to this one part where, because the drummer Bill Bruford, he's notorious for doing those uh weird key signatures, time signatures when he's playing the drums, and you're thinking the bass line is going to do like this straight up 4/4 funk thing, but it does some kind of other timing, but it's still not on the one, but on the one. It's I don't know. Just that was the thing about King Crimson. They were a little more, I guess, considered prog rock at the time, but they were going to experiment with a little more funk on this album. So, and I believe it was their last album with John Wetton before they regrouped with Tony Levin with the stick bass, and uh, what's the guy? He sounds like David Byrne when he sings. I think of his name, but yeah, but that's my pick. Starless by King Crimson.
Okay, so that's my pick for today that I'm not hip to. So now I gotta
Yeah, check it out, man.
now I gotta check that out tonight, man.
It's a
I'm
trip,
writing
man.
these
The
down.
whole album's a trip
I
too.
gotta check that one out tonight, though.
But that one, yeah,
Starless, King Crimson.
But Chaos, who or how did you first get turned on to King Crimson?
Just hearing them here and there when I was in, like in junior high school, and I would hear on the classic rock station, they would play a lot of the old Pink Floyd, like One of These Days off of Metal, and uh the Animals LP, Dogs, Sheep, all of that. And I would always hear about King Crimson. And you'd always see that album cover in the court of the King Crimson King with the guy with his mouth, he's hollering.
Yeah.
You always see that, and I never heard the album, right? And I finally listened to it. And and then they kind of went to the wayside with me, but then when they had regrouped with Tony Levin and that other guy, I forget the guy's name, but they did it was like in the 80s, like around the Talking Heads time. And and they kind of changed their sound to kind of update their sound and stuff. And I heard them on college radio, and I was like, oh, these are the guys that did, you know. And then people would always tell me, yeah, you got to check out the Red album. No, you got to check out the Red album. But it's hard to get. But when I finally found it, I was like, oh, okay. But they told me the song, I heard a band covering it. And I think he says the word starless and Bible black in the lyrics. So I'm thinking that's the name of the song. So I got their album called Starless and Bible Black, but that song wasn't on there. So when I finally got Red and I heard Starless, I said, oh, this is it. But why is it? It's not what they say it is, and the other album is what they singing, what they're saying, but it's kind of it's weird.
There's
It's
that
almost like it's almost like Color Me Funky being on the Glory Hella Stupid album when it should have been on the Uncle Jam Wants You album, because they're singing Uncle Jam's coming for you. So
Or
it's like one of those
Marcus
kind
was
of
saying, I think it was Houses of the Holy being on physical
Yeah.
graffiti instead of Houses of the
exactly.
Holy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that that was and then off in the high school, that's when I was off in the listening to the albums,
Yeah.
so it was King Crimson, Funkadelic, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd,
Cool. All right. Well, interesting pick, eclectic pick. It's good to have something like that in the mix. Thanks for bringing that one to the forefront, Chaos. Number 2 for me is our first instrumental, I believe, and from the early 70s. It's from one half of a very talented albino group of brothers. And this was the one that
the Seasons
went to the keyboard society, and he was actually a multi-instrumentalist, but he was on keyboard. The other brother was on guitar, an amazing guitar player. And this was a monstrous track that came out in the early 70s. Frankenstein.
Wait. He hit the brothers, right? So it's weird because we're doing the descriptions, right? So,
Johnny,
everybody doesn't know, but I'm like, I know where this is going.
the Winter Brothers.
You said the monstrous.
Yeah, that when he said the albino brothers, and
then he said the monstrous. I was like, that was
he's
pretty
talking about
clever. That was pretty clever.
Yeah. So the Winter Brothers, there was Johnny on guitar, and this is Edgar Winter, the Edgar Winter group, and Frankenstein was the number one hit. I mean, it came out of, it seemed like it, I mean, it was unusual for a track like that to get over like it did, but what a riff and groove that track has. I mean, dun 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 dun. And the breakdown is so cool with the synthesizers and the percussion and that buildup of that, like bubbly synthesizer, and it comes back at you and explodes into it. And I don't know if you ever got to see him do the video or do it live, but he jumps on saxophone, he's on keyboards, jumps on drums. He does it all. It's this crazy looking, really pale guy with the blonde hair. And I think it's been covered many times. Unlike Infectious Grooves, I don't think it's ever been duplicated or exceeded. I looked up on this track, believe it or not initially intended to be on the album. It was included as a last minute thing on a whim, is what I read. So it's one of those cuts. And it was originally released as a B-side. So even then, they weren't thinking it was going to be, the big thing. I actually first discovered it myself on a rock compilation. I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of those ones not a K-Tel, but kind of like that, where it was, like the greatest riffs of all time, and had Smoke on the Water and Iron Man, and Frankenstein was on there, and that was my first exposure to it as a kid. So that is my number 2, Frankenstein.
Yeah, classic rock radio staple.
Classic rock radio staple.
Yeah.
But it was also, like I said, it's one of the ones that made us move. You know, it made us, it got us. Scott, did you happen to see where Frankenstein charted on possibly R&B uh charts?
Yeah, that I don't know. I had
I'm
it
gonna look
actually
it
went
up. I'm
number
gonna
one
look
on
it
the
up
Hot
later.
100.
I can look it up now.
Yeah,
See,
where did Frankenstein go on the R&B charts? Man? It had to be on there though. I'm guessing it got in the top 30 R&B, but possibly not because it was kind of a jazz 10 song too.
That band, you guys have probably heard of some of these cats that were in that band. I don't know if you know or not, but it was Ronnie Montrose on guitar, Dan Hartman on bass,
Wow,
and
wow, really?
Rick Derringer was the producer.
Don Hartman, Dan
Instant
Hartman.
replay. Yeah.
Then instant replay, yeah,
Yeah.
instant.
relight my fire. Relight my fire with Lolita Holloway.
Yeah.
Uh,
Instant replay.
yeah, it actually it did not get
Chart
on
with
the
us.
R&B chart.
We loved it though.
Yeah,
Wow, I'm surprised. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right. So we're through 2 rounds. We
good
got
pick.
good variety, man.
Good pick.
Thank you. So we're back to our researcher, Marcus, for number 3.
All right, my number 3 pick. It comes from a band who just got inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm.
They came out the gate smoking, 4 big hits on their debut album. They had a couple big hits on their second album. Third album didn't have big hits, but still sold well. Then the fourth album didn't do as well. Then they bounced back on the fifth one. But on that fourth album that didn't do well, the title track is a funk rock monster. I mean, the groove is just killer. The vocals and the guitar are great, but the bass drum combination is sick. So my third pick is the group Bad Company, and I'm going with Burning Sky.
Mm.
Bad Company did have some pretty slick grooves, man.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really did. That's one of my high school. You know, they were when I was in high school, man. There were some guys that would get it in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some. I definitely like me some Bad Company. Trying to
Feel
think
Like
of some of
Making
the
Love.
Dun,
That's my second
dun,
favorite.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Shooting
dun,
Star.
dun, you know, so yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shooting Star, which they say is supposed to be about Jimi Hendrix.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. Can't Get
Yeah.
Enough. Ready for Love.
Mm.
Yeah. Bad Company, yeah.
Rock and Roll Fantasy.
That's classic rock. That's definitely, you know. I mean, I grew up in, you know, obviously we did. I grew up in the classic rock era, man. And I went to a school that's predominantly black now, but in the 70s, it was predominantly white, you know, to the point where we had a rebel mascot and a Confederate soldier walking around with the big head at the pep rallies and stuff. So I got
Wow.
I got plenty of classic rock in my system from back then.
The two that I love by Bad Company that to me are funky, especially are Rocksteady and Moving On.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. That's a nice track too, man.
Yeah. That first album, especially, I mean, that one you picked is really good too, Marcus. But the first one, to me, just love that Black album.
Yeah. But that Burning Sky, that groove, man, every time I hear that the volume goes up. That's what I love that, you know.
Yeah. To me, Paul Rogers, one of the greatest rock singers there's been.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, he's got soul in that voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good pick. Bad Company. I like it.
Mhm.
And you guys are really surprising me with, you know, I mean,
I'm
my list
changing
is
up.
my list is like 20 groups deep, and y'all are still naming people that I don't have on my list, man. So,
You know, well, I was wondering about that. I was thinking this is probably going to be one of the shows where we step on each other the least, I was thinking.
yeah.
And there's been a little bit of it, but on some of the other ones, I mean, it's pivoting left and right. This one, I think we're not going to be so much. So we'll see as we go along still. But
Yeah, I'm seeing. I'm not. I got so many out because I'm thinking
I did, man. I'm like
like
20,
last time,
20
Scott,
deep.
you just hit me with volcano rupture, and it seemed like everybody had what I was like, they're not gonna pick this one. So
Well, thanks for that
sorry
one,
I won't
Marcus.
get to
Bad Company in the Mix. Nice. Continuing with number 2, Mr. Colley.
All right. So we're on 3, right? We're on 2 still.
3. 3.
3.
3. Yeah, my bad.
Okay. So I first heard this song. I heard it one time. Heard this song once. Yeah, this is 3. Yeah, this is 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard this song one time coming from I went to Chabot College in Hayward, California, Bay Area, Hesperian Boulevard, Hayward, California. And I was in school for mass communications, radio, TV broadcasting. And we used to do this I had one night class, and at night we would go and get in the TV studio. And it was a literal TV studio on campus. And, on any given night, you would have a different role. You might be on camera, you might be on-air personality, you might be in the production booth or whatever. But anyway, we had been in that class one night. I think I'm in the production booth one night, and we're doing the phase and the wipes and, all this archaic, equipment that's archaic now. This is probably 80 or 81. And the song already wasn't new, but for whatever reason, it was my first time hearing it. First and only time. I'm riding through the hills, coming through Hayward, going back off into the valley, on my way to Pleasanton, Livermore, whatnot. This song comes on the radio, and I am fucking just grooving. And I don't know, I probably was back then doing other things, or whatever. So my head was in a good space, and, I was just grooving. And okay, jam went off, never heard. And I just happened to be listening to, I want to say an AM station or a station that I never listened to. But I just happened to be that night because I was an 8-track guy back then. Never heard this song again for years and years and years. And I was like, man, I wish I could hear that song. And it came on the radio one night. Led Zeppelin.
I don't know how you avoided it, but yeah.
Cashmere.
Cool.
I don't know. Well, like I said, I wasn't a huge radio guy. So I was listening to what I was listening to. I was the guy that went to this record store, Sound Warehouse, at that time. I was the guy. And I buy albums every week. And I was a warehouse in the Bay, and it was Sound Warehouse in Cali. I never heard that track. Didn't hear it again for years. And it came on one night, classic rock radio, and I lost my mind. And by then, it's like the 90s. And, it'd been 15 years since I heard it, but I immediately recognized it. And I got all excited, and I'm like, that's the song. That's the song. And Cashmere is one of those songs that it locks you in. It literally locks you in. It's the, Led Zeppelin's vocals are spacey anyway, and it locks you in. They got the strings going, and it's kind of like a good funk song because the beat is just like relentless, It's just relentless, And they released the song in 75. I heard it, I want to say in 79. It was probably 79. I heard it in 79, and I didn't hear it again for whatever reason. And it's one of their biggest songs ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of their biggest songs ever. And somehow, of all the music I listened to, that song avoided me.
It's from 1975 originally.
Yeah, it was released in 75. So it was 4 years old when I heard it.
Can't believe that you hadn't heard it since, because it was everywhere.
I didn't. Like I said, it was hiding from me somehow. Because when it finally did jump out at me, I was like, that's it. And then I found out how big of a hit it was. And I'm like, how could I have not heard this? How could I have not heard this song? but I didn't.
I envy that in a way, that you could have fresh ears still for it because it's such a great song.
You know, and it, when we did this and we started talking about criteria, it's not really a funk song at all. I mean, when I started listing funk songs and I finally did write down Cashmere, it was probably like the 17th song that I had written, but it fit my criteria of did we like it? And I didn't find it, like I said, I didn't find out we liked it till later because I didn't know. I knew I did, I knew I did. And it checked the boxes for me. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna even mention it until Scott said something about the Physical Graffiti album. And obviously I had to go back and when I found out what it was, then I had to go back and like, okay, what am I missing? So, the Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti album. Because I was, in the 70s, I loved some classic rock, which wasn't really classic rock at the time. It was just rock, But obviously I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it all, Obviously, I missed some tracks that I didn't hear, just like funk and anything else. Some stuff you might not gravitate to until later in life. So that was one of those. But yeah, just couldn't make a long story short. Cashmere comes in at number 3 on my list.
Yeah, great track. Yeah, I don't know. How do you, Marcus and Kaz, how do you feel about that track being considered funky or not? It certainly is a special groove to it.
Yeah, I can understand it. It's definitely considered their epic song. Stairway to Heaven is the one they're best known for, but they consider Cashmere to be their best work, their best song.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I just remember hearing the title, a lot of times, even before I knew the song. And when I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's Cashmere. Okay, I understand why people are, why it's held so highly, why it's so highly regarded. And that whole Physical Graffiti album, that's my favorite album from them anyway. The double, that's the magnum opus, if you will. Even though, a lot of people will say the fourth album is the best one. But yeah, I mean, it's put it this way. If the Led Zeppelin songs were baseball players, Cashmere would be the cleanup hitter on their all-star team. If you took all their best songs on all their albums, that would be the cleanup hitter. That's the strongest, mightiest Zeppelin song. But yeah, I can understand it's not funk in a traditional sense, but I could definitely understand putting it in that category because it has
those my outside the box picks.
Yeah,
that was my outside the box pick.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin is a different monster because I can remember hearing like a lot of the adults always like, nah, not Led Zeppelin. Nobody, like a lot of them, I think they were kind of almost too mainstream for everybody. But when I listened to them, they, it was like I heard the funk in it because I heard the blues in it, and this one, Whole Lot of Love.
Heartbreakers on that one too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that one? I can't remember the title.
When the Levee Breaks.
What is and what should never be.
Yeah.
That stuff like this. It's like I hear elements of funk and all of that. Just the way is. I mean, and then you got John Bonham just.
Yeah.
John Bonham was like that may be Bonham may be their funkiest element that puts them in that realm. I mean, because his drum beats are just like boom, bang.
But
bang,
underrated
bang.
John Paul Jones, the bass player, man. He was the most underrated person in the band.
Yeah.
Because he had the bass lines, and whether he's playing it on the bass or on the keyboards, and some of those songs he's playing bass on either a B3 or some kind of deep bass sounds from the keyboards, and it's like, man, like no quarter, a live version of that. So, man,
You know what?
so
I prefer the studio version though, because it's like it's long, but it's not too long. On the live show, you look
yeah.
at some of them.
Which live one?
I
Because I'm
mean,
talking about this one they did when they did a reunion and they played live in England at the
okay.
some.
See, I'm thinking of in the '70s. I've seen a lot of
Oh
footage
no,
of
no,
that.
You're like song
I
remains the
see it
same.
just
I think is what you're. That's a really long.
Well, that's one, but every tour they did, that was like his showpiece. So they would do
yeah.
the song and then he'd go way off into some totally other stuff. It'd be like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah,
And see, that's that funk.
yeah, yeah.
That's, you know.
Are we got to keep moving on? We could definitely do a whole show on Zeppelin, probably. But thanks for that, Phil. Let's keep moving on. Number
I
three
digress.
for
It's my word.
chaos.
Oh, I'm up.
You're up, man.
What number we on now?
We're on
Four,
three.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I just had it too. Where'd it go? I got Zeppelin out. No. Okay, 3. I'm gonna go with this one. Uh, let's see. This one of Gatefold album, kind of plain and weird, but it's a group called Killing Joke. Uh, this is the full album cover, and the inside is kind of weird, but you know, it's this is a picture of the riots in Ireland that was called Bloody Sunday. So with the guy that designed their album cover, he, you know, did this to it. So, but there's a real picture of it. So, but they're a band from England, and they're very well known for a song called "Love Like Blue" that became their biggest hit, and to a lot of Killing Joke fans, it's like, you guys are coming late, and that's when they were forced to make a hit. But this is their first album, their debut album, is called Killing Joke. Came out in 1980, and at this time, I was looking for, because you know P Funk had like disbanded, and after Trombipulation, it was kind of like, I don't think we're gonna get any more funk like we used to. So
Planned
I was out there
obsolescence.
looking. I was searching for the next kind of slow, funky, hard edge, and punk rock was kind of on its way out, and you know they were considered a post-punk band, but they had a lot of reggae and funk influence in them. And the college station out here, KALX, would play songs off of this album, but you know those DJs wouldn't tell you. You'd have to wait till their whole set was over, and then they'd read, "Okay, we heard blah blah seven," you know. And I'm going like, "Okay, well, which song was that?" You know. But they played a number of songs off this debut album, you know, like not in sequence, but just during their sets or during the day. And every song was it kind of grabbed me. But what made me go out, get on the bus, and go to the record store and just go buy the album was when they played a song on here called Primitive. And I was like, well, so this is Killing Joke. Okay, so that was the song they played 3 hours ago. I mean, this band, but it was a different song. And then, okay, so, and then one DJ finally said that, you know, yeah, this song is on the same album with this song. And I recognized, okay, they played that one. Okay, so I said, I'm just going to have to go get the album because this is like, this is speaking to me. So, uh, yeah, and they were like, they had that like rebelliousness to them, you know. And this was like 1980, so I got a lot of that in me. So Because I was listening to, I was on some Bad Brains, with all that reggae funk. Uh, it hadn't turned into funk metal yet, but it was just everybody had that edge because everybody was influenced by P Funk, and but after the Bad Brains had broke, everybody was getting influenced by them because they were like hard punk playing reggae. So they caught wind of that. And then as later on in their career, I'd see like their drummer or the bass player would say like their influences was like Chic, you know, uh, all of the soul bands of the 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Um, but you couldn't listening to them, you wouldn't know that that's what they were listening to. But if because you could listen to the drummers, how he's staying, he's on the one a lot. And the bass player, he does a lot of what is the original bass players on this album? He did a lot of plucking, like down, down, and stuff like that. So it was just like, man, who are these guys? So Primitive is the one that made me. After the song went off, I went and got on the bus and went to the record store looking for it, and out of 3 record stores, I found it at the second one because it was selling. I think their hit, well, not hit, but their popular song to underground fans was Requiem and War Dance and stuff like that. But that whole album is like all the way through. It was different. It was like that was like alternative music before alternative was called alternative and turned into new wave. So yeah, that's my pick. Killing Joke.
That's another. Well, that's one I'm going to have to go check out. I don't know about y'all, but that's a new one to me. I'm looking forward to it. So nice going outside the box, at least for me.
Yeah, it's out. It's out there.
But I trust you, man. I know it's going to be awesome.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Anything Chaos says moves him, and the way he describes them, and the tripping and all that kind of shit. I'm like, okay, gotta get it, just so I can hear it, and the beautiful thing about technology now is as soon as we get off of here, I can just Google it and listen to it right here in the studio.
Right, right.
So it's not like I gotta wait.
We don't have to get on a bus. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't gotta get on the bus now. I'm gonna Google
Wait
it.
for the DJ to play it again.
I can download it like right now.
Got your tape ready. Got the pause button ready.
I spent plenty of days doing that.
All right.
Yeah.
2 fingers down, record and play.
All right. Thanks for that, Chaos. I'm going to come with my number 3. So not quite as, out of the box as yours. In fact, not at all. Although it's one that I don't think I played, on Black Radio at all, but to me is funky. See if y'all agree. I think you'll be familiar with it. It's from a band that was arguably the greatest American rock band of all time. Maybe up there with like Van Halen, you could consider. But certainly for the 70s, they were the most successful and had a big comeback in the 80s. For my money, one of the best rock singers fronts this band. And I'll just go ahead. From Boston, another hint, 5 of them in the band.
Can
talking
tell where you were
about
going.
Aerosmith. And the track from Rocks, which is, in my mind, their best album ever, certainly their hardest rocking album, is Last Child.
I knew he was going.
Yeah. Last Child is a groove, man.
You me and Scott on the same page, not the same album, but I was wondering about Aerosmith.
Yeah, it's a groove. It's almost like always struck me as a little bit like almost like an Ohio Players kind of groove, like the it's hell or contradiction, that kind of little bit of that in there. and it was the lead single from that album. It starts off really slow. I'm dreaming. I can't sing, but tonight, and then just boom, and it hits you, and it doesn't let go, and it's got that guitar solo. It's fierce, man. That track, a lot of funk flavor to me. Reached number 21 on the pop chart, according to my research. Album went number 3, 4 times platinum album. So everything on that, the arrangement, the bass, the production, it's all killer. Aerosmith, Last Child, a lot of great Aerosmith songs too, kind of like Zeppelin, but maybe not quite the level of Zeppelin, but they have several. And to me, they never were funkier. I mean, there's Walk This Way and stuff, but never funkier than Last Child.
Yeah, that's another great classic rock. You don't hear it as much on classic rock radio, or at least not in the 90s or 2000s. I heard it, but it wasn't one that got overplayed. Like it got played, and it was really good, but it didn't get overexposed where you would get sick of it. So yeah, that's definitely one of their key tracks.
Little side note of where I think why the song is so funky is their drummer, because he this floored me when I found out he used to be with Chubby and the Turnpikes, who later turned into Tavares.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's like the drummer played in R&B bands before he got with Aerosmith. So
Joey Kramer. Joey Kramer.
yeah, Joey Kramer, yeah. So that he kept it, in the pocket. So
That came from that blues. I mean, it was one of their albums. They did a cover of "Walking the Dog," which was the old what's his name? Rufus Thomas. Yeah, his hit. Yeah. So they were definitely in that bag, blues, funk, R&B.
I mean, rock and roll is basically a derivative of the blues to me anyway. I mean, funky is too as well, to be honest with you. And it's just a matter of how the different genres like flipped it to add a certain element to it to where, the black funk rock is called, funk rock is called that because we threw some guitar in, we put some effects on the guitar to where instead of it being clean, it's like fuzzy and dirty. I mean, some of our favorite funk we consider dirty, if for lack of a better term. And these rock and rollers kind of did the same thing as they took that same kind of blues type of formula. And I mean, damn, the rock people were actually the ones that kind of started making it dirty with the fuzz and the hard effects like that. So it's almost all intertwined, which is kind of why some of the stuff that you consider rock, we still like it because it's blues, it's rock, it's funk. And sometimes people like us, maybe not the masses, but people like us actually hear those qualities in the music. And it's why we dig it. We mentioned earlier that our picks, in a way, tonight are seemingly all over the place. I don't know. This may be the most eclectic night that I've had with this panel, to be honest with you, because we are literally everywhere. There's been some songs where we're like, yeah, that's my pick too. And there's been a lot of songs tonight where, shit, man, I didn't think of that one, So I'm kind of digging a vibe tonight that there's not a heavy consensus on what this should sound like to us as a panel. So, man.
And to your point, Phil, what you're saying there, really it's the record companies and the radio stations and the business side of it that put those labels on the music. It really does all come from a similar place, and it's just how you mix it up, but it's not necessary to put so many labels on it, really, when it comes down to it.
Yeah,
Right.
if it's
Yeah.
good, it's good. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, we're through 3 rounds, gentlemen. So here we're on the home stretch with Marcus leading us off for number 4.
All right, my fourth pick comes from my second favorite rock band of all time. They're actually on my T-shirt. I don't know if you can see that.
Okay.
Thin
So
Lizzy.
Thin Lizzy, yes, led by the late great Phil Lynott, half black, half Irish, considered the greatest lyricist in hard rock history.
Let's see what we got.
But they had one song in particular. There's a couple I was debating on. And I almost went with a different one, but the last one I was like, "Oh, how could I not? I cannot include this when we're talking about funky rock." So I got to go with the song from the album. They had the big album Jailbreak. Then they did another album right after that called Johnny the Fox, and I got to go with the song Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed with the classic
Whoa.
drum break to start it out, and it just gets into some sleazy funk after that. And it's been sampled by some different people, and it's not even one of their greatest songs, I don't think, but it's a great song, and it's definitely the funkiest song they ever did. So I gotta go with Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed from Thin Lizzy. Phil Lynott right there.
Johnny the Fox. Is that where Tricky T sampled it from? Johnny the
Probably.
Fox.
And just to not be confused, that album, the opening track is just called Johnny. That's a different song.
I wrote it down.
Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Weed opens up side 2.
Were those real people? Do you know those characters?
They're based off real people.
I don't know if that was a real person, but I know back then, I know for a fact from like personal experience, the weed was real.
From what I've read, Johnny the Fox is actually supposed to be Phil Lynott himself. Jimmy the Weed was supposed to be another guy who they knew around that time in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we had the Irish connection on like 2 of the last 3 picks, right? With Chaos and you, and interesting. What was it, 1976 or 7?
Yes, 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did 2 albums in 76. Jailbreak is the big one with Boys Are Back in Town.
Right.
And they were about to go on a tour, and Phil Lynott caught hepatitis, and they were on tour and he caught hepatitis. They had to finish that tour. Then they were about to go back on tour, and one of the guitar players, Brian Robertson, he got into a scuffle in a bar, and his hand got slashed with a bottle, so he couldn't play. So they had to cancel that tour. And but when Phil was in the hospital, he ended up writing the songs for Johnny the Fox. So that's how they ended up with 2 albums that year instead of just 1.
Sounds like a typical 70s rock tour.
Right. Yeah.
All right. All right. Nice pick. Thank you, Marcus. And keeping it rolling. Phil, what do you got? I think this one, Phil, that you're going to pick is probably one you're familiar with. I think the one you pick yourself will be one you're familiar with.
Okay. Yeah, I am. I know this song. And not only do I know this song, I'm going to pick one that everybody's familiar with this time around. We've been kind of jumping around. And, I'm like, damn, I got to step up my classic rock game as it pertains to the funk. However, I'm going a little bit more mainstream with this one, most definitely. So the group is Rare Earth. And the song is, I see everybody nodding, so we already know where I'm going with this. I Just Want to Celebrate. And, that's basically, when you start talking about this show and rock and funk, this song was pretty much a funk song, really. Do-dum, do-dum, don't, do-dum, don't, the thing that's missing is like the little 70s, late 70s claps in there.
Right.
Like the
Just
little,
before
you know, the
that.
little clap track in there, man, would have brought it full circle with the funk, you know. But I mean, like the single was kind of straightforward, but the album version had some nice little breaks in it, you know, the nice little percussion breaks in them on the album version, you know, and then they, you know, the voices kind of came back in, and then they like kind of flow back into the whole song. So, to keep us moving along, I'm not gonna, say much more about the song other than, damn, that was like a really, really funky track. And it came out in, at a time when Parliament Funkadelic hadn't really caught on and doing their thing with the mainstream. JB was out there, JB was out there doing his thing, Hendrix was out there, the Motown was rolling kind of heavy. But this is 1971.
Yeah.
And the funk was already live and well in 71, but some of the people that were kind of considered the forefathers of the funk. Oh, other than my God, that's what I was going to say. He was doing his thing by then. Sly.
All right.
At that time in 71, Sly was really the standard. 71 Sly was really the standard for the funk. And I don't even think it had been all the way coined the way it would even 4 years later, 3 to 4 years later. But Rare Earth jumped in, on that, and obviously they were, recorded with blacks, around a lot of blacks, around a lot of soul acts. And that was just one of those tracks that took off, and it was like really funky track.
Yeah, I love that track. It was a alternate for me. So, but also when they break it down, they just have the chant. That's a really cool part. And then members of them, of course, Chaos is probably going to talk about, I've played with Funkadelic too. So, I mean, the funk goes deep with Rare Earth. And I'll just add before I turn it over to you guys to say stuff, they were the most successful white act associated with Motown. So that's an interesting side note.
Yeah. And that part where it breaks down with the chant, I know that got sampled by NWA in 1991, 20 years later. So I'm pretty sure Dr. Dre was aware of I Just Want to Celebrate. He was old enough to probably remember when it was out.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it went to 30 on the soul charts,
Yeah.
So I mean, it rolls up there.
Yeah. Top 10 pop. Number 7, I believe.
Yeah, man. Rare Earth was.
So I kind of had to leave them in there because we were kind of, I won't say eclectic, but we were kind of narrowing our scope to us and our type of crowd. But I kind of threw that one out there for the masses.
I dig it. There's one other track by them that also I considered, but I would have gone with the one you went with. I'm not going to mention the other one in case someone else wants to, but yeah. Cool. Nice pick, Phil. Thanks for reeling us back in with that one. I'm going to go with, so Chaos is next. I was thinking that was next, but Chaos, you're up, man.
Well, I'm gonna go with this one because this one, when this came, what year was this? That can't be 81, is it? I guess it's 81. Whenever it came out, hearing this song, I guess it was 81. But there was this one song that was out, I guess it was on MTV a lot. That was kind of getting overplayed. I'm not gonna mention the song or the group until after talk about the song that I'm picking. Well, I'll say the overplayed song was you guys should know who this band is by this song. Centerfold.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's
Y'all.
not the song I'm picking, but that's the band I'm talking about.
So we're
I
going with
hope
the
you're picking the
J.
one I'm thinking of.
Jay
We're
Go for
going
it.
Giles
with the
band.
J. We're going with the J.
But the
Giles
song I'm
band.
talking about is Flamethrower.
Yeah.
That
I,
was the funk. It was like, man, who is
Mm.
this? You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah. The little that. Yeah, that was okay.
Then the
Yeah, okay. That's a great pick.
that it had that. Yeah, it was like, man, okay.
Totally understandable on that one. Totally
Yeah.
understandable on that one.
Oh man, that was like the pop lockers was loving that one. You know, on the West Coast they were pop locking. East Coast it was breakdancing. But
Yeah,
oh
that was
man,
my Bay Area days too, man. So yeah.
yeah, man, yeah. So flamethrower would be my
The,
funky pick
the
from
the the beat and the synth on that,
yeah.
man. I'm so glad you brought that one in because in going through all the ones I went through, I didn't even remember. I didn't think of that one. That's a really good one. Yeah.
Man, it was one of those songs where you know you hearing it and it's like this is kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but when it gets to that breakdown, when it goes to that and it just took it to a whole new level. So it was like, all right, okay, who is this? Jay Giles band? Okay, I love him now. All right. So I had to go get the album. I was kind of like, I was looking for some more flamethrowers, but you know,
Yeah, I bought
it's still
that
a
too,
good
and it,
band
it,
though.
it wasn't what
I
I thought
still
it
like
was
them
gonna
as a
be.
band though.
But I love that song. I want to say it was the last track on the album, if I'm not mistaken, back then, man.
I think it was it.
Was it the last track?
No, it was actually the first song on side two.
Was it? I'm going so
Yeah.
far back, man. I was cooking at El Choro back then.
But that was the cut though. That was
It might have been the last on your 8-track, but on the record, it was.
Yeah, 8-track, switch it up on you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And hopefully it wasn't on 3 going into 4.
I know the where when you gotta cut part of the song off and pick it back up.
Right.
I
Oh
was
man.
disappointed, frankly, because I just never thought J Gals had that in them, hearing the radio hits and stuff. And then Flamethrower was just like, where'd this come from? Yeah.
Out of left field on that one. Huh?
Mm.
It's a good pick, Kay, because that one's like I just said, that was one we liked. That was one we liked. I love that song.
Now, did that track, I don't remember it being so, but do you guys know, did that track get picked up at all by Black Radio?
I don't think it did.
Yeah,
It
I
did
think it did for a minute.
out there where we were, Cass, because I was out there with what was popping in
We
uh,
had I think we
KSOL and KDI.
KSOL,
KDI.
KSFX. I think they would play it because they played a lot of uh,
Yeah, they were a
you
little bit
know,
different, but I don't remember it
funky,
on
like what's
KSOL
that
and
song by
KDI.
Lips Incorporated, Funky Town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
KSFX would play a lot of stuff like that.
yeah.
So I know I heard it on a radio where they were playing R&B and rock. So
I don't even know how I wound up with that album, but I had it. So
because the flamethrower like me, I was like, I gotta get the album because there's probably something else on there like that, right?
yeah, maybe so.
I was
She's
kind of
because Flamethrower was pretty. It was pretty funky track,
yeah,
I
that was
guess. So maybe that's why, because I did have it. I'm like, why did I buy that album?
a jam for me.
But then when that other one, okay.
Oh, the centerfold.
That's a classic, though. That's a classic. That's
Yeah.
Centerfold is a classic, though, man.
Yeah, I mean it was this MTV just blew up, you
Beep,
know.
beep, 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 ding, ding, ding.
Oh no, you talking about freeze frame.
Freeze Frame, that's right. And then before that, they have Love Stinks on the previous album. Was it?
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So
They
were
had
out
some
there.
good songs,
They
but
were out there,
Flamethrower was
but
that funk.
Flamethrower was like, yeah, that was that heat.
Jay Giles was like, look, we could funk too. So, you know.
All right. Good pick, man. So to round out round 4, I'm going with a band that it's a trio around from the early 70s, and their guitar player, super distinctive guitar player, was once really complimented by Jimi Hendrix while he was still around, and very blues based, very blues influenced from Texas, and they had a big resurgence in the 80s. You mentioned MTV. They were MTV darlings with their videos, with their cars and the girls and all that, and long
I think I know.
beards.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Billy Gibbons
ZZ.
as a guitar player and Dusty Hill on
ZZ.
bass, and Bill Ham on. No, Bill Ham was Bill Ham the drummer? I think so. Anyway, ZZ Top. But I'm
Yeah.
not going with their MTV Darling stuff. I'm going before then to 1980 with an album called The Guayo. If you pronounce that, if I'm pronouncing it rightly, hopefully I am. But a track on here called Cheap Sunglasses.
Yeah.
That track,
Mm.
what a riff! That is a funky ass track. I
What's the
didn't
name
know
of it?
what
Dark colored sunglasses?
cheap sunglasses.
Cheap sunglasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, that sounded like Frankenstein again, but it's a great riff, super funky. It's got a lot of different parts to it. It's got what sounds like keyboards, even though they don't give any credit to keyboards. It sounds like a really cool, you know, electric piano happening in there. And the breakdown is really extended and got some mood to it and builds up the funk and the solo on the guitar. It's their 6th studio album. Took them 3 years to make, which was long for them. It's almost 5 minutes long, which is also unusual for them. A very cool song that I always thought that apparently Billy Gibbons and Bootsy are friends. And I thought, why don't they redo this track with a Bootsy flavor, and
Right.
Bootsy's glasses, cheap sunglasses, star glasses, and let Bootsy funk it up. That would be fantastic. And I still think they should do it while they're still around. So I'm advocating for that. But it's from 79, cheap sunglasses, super funky ZZ Top. ZZ Top had a lot of serious rhythm in their music, blues, a touch of funk here and there, at least to my ears. I'll vouch for it. Yeah, so I really like ZZ Top and this track in particular.
Fun band. Fun band. I
Yeah.
love those cats. Remember they had the fuzzy guitars too.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
twirl them around and stuff. And they do the thing with the keys and all
Had the
that.
props.
Yeah.
With the
That's a
guitar.
fun band.
Yeah, they had
Yeah,
some
but
they had a good look, man. Good look. They had a good look.
even
Yeah,
the
they
earlier
always had
stuff.
cars and girls.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
but
was the
even the
truth.
earlier stuff, with the Trace Hombres, Tush and
LaGrange.
LaGrange, they got some great stuff.
Yeah. I recommend if you haven't done it, go back to their very early albums where they have just really thick, super bluesy, dirty kind of stuff. It's
Waiting on the Bus.
yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Jesus Left Chicago. I don't know if you heard
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that high school stuff they did was, you was talking about the MTV era, but that high school stuff they did in the 70s was like,
Hmm.
it was like really, like you say, gritty, funky
Yep. That's
type of
where I'm at
sound
with
back
that
then.
stuff more so than the 80s stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the 70s stuff was like where they were really at.
All right. Well, so we've gone I think I, on my own with my picks, went from A to Z, but we're still going for the final round and leading it off to finish it up for his 5 is Marcus.
All right. One of those situations where I was going to go with one, but I forgot it. But I'm going to stick with my original pick for 5. So this is one I don't have a visual for, but I couldn't let that stop me from picking it. Because one of the things I love about this track, it was the follow-up to one of the biggest rock hits ever, and it ended up being a big hit on its own. But if you listen to Kool and the Gang, more funky stuff, The part where it gets where Clay Smith on the guitar, he just like holds that one groove for about a minute. This song has a similar thing, except it's the drummer. Like they have a groove going, and then they change the groove, and he holds this one groove for about a minute, and it's just like, oh man, and then at the very end they go back to the original groove, and it's funky. So I'm going with Steppenwolf, Magic Carpet Ride.
Okay. Yeah, Steppenwolf.
I'm hearing it kind of in my head, after you say it.
Yeah, because Born to Be Wild, that's the big hit for them. But then the Magic Carpet Ride was their follow-up single. It's on a different album.
Yeah, that's my Los Angeles elementary school days, man.
Yeah, but that drum break there, when he and he just holds it, it's like, oh man.
I gotta listen to some of these jams tonight, man. I remember that song, man. I was a little dude.
What is that, like 71? Is it even that late?
That's like 68.
I want to say 60. I was going to say 69.
Yeah.
I was going to say 69. 68.
Yeah, it's like 68, late 68 or early 69.
Okay, I was going to say 69. But I know it's right around in that era, man. It's I just kind of remember riding around with my parents, little dude in LA, and they were the big thing back then, man. They were the big thing, and their music was always just playing, So yeah.
That one's super catchy, just a real head bobber kind of, Magic Carpet Ride.
Got the funky organ playing.
Yeah, and that's another group that, well, I guess when I say we liked it, I'm kind of thinking us as a culture, but I might have liked a lot more stuff than maybe some other people did like. But I know, like, back when that Steppenwolf was out, man, I was into like Steppenwolf, and I was into like Three Dog Night, and those type of bands.
Joy to the world.
Yeah.
Joy to the World one, and
buying the 45s. I was buying the 45s.
What's that jam? Man, probably my favorite. $3. Mama told me not to come.
Yeah.
All that stuff was in that, around in that era. So,
Mama told me not to come.
that Steppenwolf, they were doing a thing back then. Yeah, for sure. Great pick. Pick.
I think, is that the oldest one we've had? 68? Might have been.
I think so. Yeah, it's a great pick.
Nice. Okay. So, Phil, you got some locked and loaded?
Man, like I said, I'm just like riff off a few of the picks that I thought about when we do the honorable mention section. But man, this is one of my favorite all-time bands. Black, white, whatever genre you want to call them. It's one of my favorite bands. And the band name is the leader's name. So the band and the leader have the same name. I almost want to say, matter of fact, we're going back to this era. I want to say the original version of this song might have been, I didn't look it up. The original version of this song might have been 69-ish, 70. No later than 71. But the version I like the best was on an album called Moonflower.
Okay.
The band is called Santana. And the song that we liked was Black Magic Woman.
Okay.
And, when we started talking about rock bands with a funk sound, Black Magic
that
Woman.
On Abraxas?
It was, yes. That was the original version was on Abraxas. And then...
so you talking about okay.
And then the version I liked the best was on Moonflower, which I'm not even looking at the album, to be honest, but I want to say Moonflower released in 75-ish. I can look it up real quick. I'm going to be like Marcus now, man. Let me look it up real quick. But, Santana Moonflower. But at any rate, either version of the song, Black Magic Woman is just like a really, really funky track. And what I liked about Carlos is throughout all the years, obviously he was killing the guitars. He had killer musicians up there with him, and they'd have like again 800 percussionists on the stage, you know. But he always had like a really, really soulful black singer up there with him to like, let me get this all the way across to the people. Yeah, so the album is Moonflower. If you're a Santana fan, check it out. It's got it's I want to say 2/3 or 3/4 of the album is live, and it's got some
That's
studio
what I was
tracks.
wondering. Was it a live album?
It's a live album, but it's got a few. It's reminiscent of Earth, Wind, and Fire, Gratitude. Where you
Okay.
got the live. Have you ever heard the Santana track? She's Not There. She's Not There is a studio track. But man, you got Europa, Head, Hands, Feet, Europa, Black Magic Woman, Oh Yeah, Come Over, Flora Loon. You got a bunch of his tracks live in concert on that Moonflower album. I put it up there with one of my top live albums, along with. Well, we did a live album show one night with Scott. So, and I
Yeah.
don't know if I mentioned Moonflower because I only got 5 picks, but Moonflower is right there, up there, with my top. And Black Magic Woman on that album is my favorite version. But as far as funk, funk tracks, Black Magic Woman checks all the boxes for me.
Okay.
All right, got some Santana in there. Thanks, Phil. Way to wrap it up. Going to move on to Chaos for his number 5.
These dudes was kind of funky. I'm gonna mention one name. What's his name? Robert Palmer. He was just whatever. I mean, those videos he did with the girls and
Yeah.
you know. Okay, but and it's hard to pick a song on here, but I'm gonna have to say it. But
We're going with the supergroup.
I'm you know what? I'm just gonna say the whole album. Can I do that, Scott? Or do I
Well,
have to pick one?
just pick a token one.
Okay, I'll just go with okay. One is it was the well known hit.
Are we going with the supergroup or are we going with some Robert Palmer
Yeah, yeah,
stuff?
yeah, yeah.
We're
Power
going with the
Station.
supergroup.
Power
Yeah, there we go.
Station.
Um,
That's where I thought you were
uh,
going with it. Yeah, that's where I thought you were going with
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's hard. I would go with something like it's hot, but they did Bang a Gong, the T-Rex song,
I didn't mean to turn you on. Right? Was it
Harvest for the World. So I'm gonna just go with I'm
Who else
gonna
was in
go with
that band? Robert Palmer,
their version of Bang a Gong, Get It On.
Tony Thompson on drums,
Yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Palmer. Yeah,
Tony Thompson on drums from Chic. Then John Taylor and Angie Taylor from Duran Duran,
there it was, Duran Duran. Yeah,
and
And produced by
Bernard
Bernard
Edwards
Edwards.
from Chic. Yeah.
yeah.
So that was yeah.
So it had to be funky because Bernard produced it, man.
Yeah. I mean, the hit for him was Something Like It Hot. And the
Yeah,
drums was just,
yeah.
but
And here's
they did a version of T Rex's song Bang a Gong. Man, it's kind of funky to me. So I'm gonna go with that. Power Station.
Bangagam was a hit too for them.
This is how it is, but you got to turn around and see this. Then they got them on the back. All of the guys, so
now
yeah.
what year is that?
Late,
85, 86?
late
I
80s.
think because I was at Record Factory at that time. When was that?
85?
85, yeah.
Okay.
Well, so that's the second one because you went with Bangagong. That was an earlier rock funk hit that you're going with the later remake version because T-Rex's was, some could argue that was, kind of funky too.
Yeah.
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 All right. I guess I'm up then. My last one is a very well-known band, and probably influenced a lot of those that we have included in this top 20. And I almost went with some other ones by them. Very tempting to do so. There's one in particular, maybe two in particular, that are considered pretty much funky rock or funk rock. And I bet I expected one of you guys to pick one of these other songs, but not likely the one I'm going with. So I'm going with the Rolling Stones. And I'm not going to say the other songs because you might still have them as honorables, but the one I'm going with is off Goathead Soup in 1973, and it's a track that leads off the album called Dancing with Mr. D. Mr. D is the devil, and this whole album and that song in particular has a real, like, New Orleans, thick gumbo funk blues voodoo kind of vibe, and that track is just in it with that, like Chaos likes to say, that gut bucket kind of like grind and groove to it, and the riff is just and it's slow. It's slow in the funk. They're in no rush, they're doing it right. Really hypnotic, haunting. I have a lyric I was going to share. Down in the graveyard where we have our tryst, the air smells sweet, the air smells sick. He never smiles, his mouth merely twists. The breath in my lungs feels clingy and thick, but I know his name. He's called Mr. D, and one of these days he's going to set you free. Human skulls is hanging around his neck. The palms of my hands is clammy and wet. And just Jagger, again, to me, one of the greatest singers on the rock side of things. He's got that blues. He's got that funk feel. I hope you guys know this track because I fell in love with it hearing it as a kid. I think my sister had the album originally, and I never get tired of it, even though it wasn't a big hit. But Dancing with Mr. D, it's got the funk, man.
Funny thing is, they recorded that album in Jamaica.
Yeah, that
man.
explains it.
Yeah, Mr. D was probably on a cruise or something, man, Mr. D was on vacation in Jamaica hanging out with them boys, man.
Any comments on that last pick?
Yeah, I dove into the Rolling Stones category in the year 2000. I had heard them when I was checking out classic rock in 98, 99. And obviously everybody's heard of the Rolling Stones, but when I was like, okay, well, what makes these guys the greatest rock and roll band? And in 2000,
Right.
I went and actually got the records. And I remember taking them. I was on a station playing R&B and hip hop, but I remember going record shopping before my show and going to the studio, and I had these Rolling Stones from the 70s, like that had nothing to do with my show. But Goldfine Soup was one of them, matter of fact. Yeah, and it's funny, that's not even considered to be one of their better albums by most of their fans. The one before that, Exile on Main Street, is considered,
masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh, I don't know what happened after that. The drugs took over for a little while and got back on track after that. But yeah,
Mr. D got
well, Mr. H actually heroin.
Mr. H really got him.
Yeah.
This album had the hit on it, Angie. I just want to mention that so that people kind
Angie,
of get a feel for where this was at.
Angie.
Yeah.
And do Heartbreaker.
That was on there too. Yep.
Yeah. And the explicit Star.
Yeah. Yep. Well, cool. All right. Well, that wraps it up for our regular picks. Now it's the time that I think, everyone's been throbbing at the bits to get to their honorables too. So, Marcus, give us 3, maximum 5 alternates for you. Don't spend too much time with it, but maybe just touch on them.
Yeah. Okay. So one of mine, I almost picked the Doobie Brothers, Long Train Running, the bass line, Tyran Porter.
Rhythm guitar alone.
Yeah.
Billy Guitar
That
Alone
freeway in San Francisco.
puts it in the category.
Yeah. Speaking of the Stones, my favorite album is the one after the one Scott picked from. It's Only Rock and Roll. And the last track on here, Fingerprint File, funky track. I picked a Thin Lizzy song earlier, but there was another one I almost went with, Dancing in the Moonlight. It's caught me in its spotlight. Nice bass line on that one, funky.
That cover looks similar to the one that Chaos had for the Robert Fripp group. Doesn't that cover look a bit
King
like
Crimson? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is 77, Bad Reputation. Yeah, it's a great album too. And the title track could almost be a funky one too. That's a great one.
And your shirt too, yeah.
Yeah. I purposely got that. Yeah, and Roundabout by Yes. Got some great bass work on that. And one that I actually had totally forgotten about, but I thought about it while we were getting ready for the show. I almost went with it. Young Lust from Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that was
Wall album.
Floyd had a lot that you could pick from.
Yeah,
I think so too. Yeah.
They had a lot you could pick from.
Yeah. They drew from a lot of blues.
Yeah, they had a lot you could pick from.
Phil.
All right, I'm going to name off a few quick ones. I won't even elaborate. I'm just going to name them off real quick. Les Claypool, One Better. Primus, John the Fisherman. Rolling Stones, back to them. Miss You. Pink Floyd again. My pick would have been Money.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Steely Dan, who was in the mix earlier. My pick would have been Black Cow.
Yeah.
And that it? And Rush, Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
Those were all on my list. If I'd had to turn to them, somebody out of that list might have got some play.
Yeah.
You didn't have to pivot once, though, did you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
You're clean, man. Clean. All right. Thanks for that, Phil. Chaos, what are your honorables?
My first honorable, I don't have the album. I have the album, but I didn't get it up for the. It's a live album by Supertramp called Paris, right?
Man, I love that band.
Yeah.
But the song is called Bloody Well Right.
Yeah.
The album version is good, but the live in Paris album, that version of Bloody Well Right is I heard that one night. I think it was in the summer, and I just had the radio on. I was just like, it was late.
What's the album? Live where?
I think it's just called Paris.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's from 1980.
Man, it was like he just tinkling on the keys, right? And I'm just thinking, and you gotta understand, this is in my quest for more funk, because I think T-Funk was kind of dissolved, and this is like late night, maybe 1:00 after midnight in the summer one time, and I just had the radio on, and I was hearing those keys that just kind of had like a Bernie Worrell-ish type of thing going on, and then it went into dun, 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 dun. And then the guitar solo, it to me, I'm just gonna say it sounded kind of funkadelic-ish to me, because it was late night, and it just kind of woke me up, and it was on. So that's one of my picks. Bloody Well Right live version from Supertramp Paris live album. My other one is gonna be I don't have the album. I wish I would have kept the album, but it's the In Through the Outdoor Led Zeppelin. CD has the paper bag.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, yeah.
But the song is Carousel Lambra. That's like it's like another Cashmere almost. Not as intense as Cashmere, but it's
Faster tempo.
considered another one of their epic songs, and it it goes through these changes. But when it gets to this slow bridge, man, and Jimmy Page slowly strums them chords, is the heaviness of it with the bass, with the John Paul Jones. I believe he had just got this keyboard that it kind of sounds like the Who, like when the Who did what was that song where they had the keyboards, and it almost kind
Are
of
you?
sounded like
Who are you?
Jump's keyboards type stuff. But
Did you hear Marcus say "Who Are You"? Is that the track with the Who? You're thinking?
yeah, it's that like that kind of fanfare-ish keyboard
Yeah.
kind of wore out, and but the bass line on throughout the song he's playing is, if you were to isolate that song, take everything out and just listen to the drums and the bass and go through the tempo changes, he's it's like funk, a little funky to me. So yeah, that was number two. I'm coming back to that King Crimson album. For one of my other picks, my alternate was it's called One More Red Nightmare. And that's the one that's actually the one I wanted to pick, and Starless was gonna be my alternate. So I'm just gonna, since Starless was my pick, the alternate will be One More Red Nightmare, and that's their funk song on this album. And the fourth one would be a group by the name of Fried, like fried fish, fried chicken, whatever. Um, I think one of the guys used to be in Fine Young Cannibals, I believe, and he produced it. And I forget the vocalist name, but she was kind of like a sought after at the time this came out. But the song is called Getaway, and it's the group called Fried. That's that's got a little funkiness to it. And my other pick was gonna be we'll sneak this in. Oh, that's the name of the group, Sneaker Pimp. uh the Sneaker Pimps, they're kind of like a hip hop rock, but a few songs got some, little fun. Song called Low Place Like Home. It
Hmm.
kind of has like a new funk type of vibe. And if I could sneak in Exposure by Robert Fripp, that'll be it. That's it.
All right. Some other ones to check out that I hadn't heard before, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I don't have covers for most of my alternates, so I'll just go through them. Had Lenny Kravitz, Always on the Run, with that groove and Slash playing on it with them. Apparently, it was originally intended for Guns N' Roses, but they couldn't get with it, so ended up being a Lenny Kravitz tune. And a few occasions, Lenny Kravitz has gotten funky. He's shown that he can do it, and I've heard, forever he's going to do an all funk album, and it's still not materialized. But I hope one day he finally does that before it's too late. I also had, going back to the late 70s, I think 79, was a group that you don't think of in terms of funk at all. At least I don't. And that's the Eagles, but the track is Those Shoes off
Oh,
of
Mm.
okay.
The Long Run. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the bass on that and the voice box, and
yeah,
that's a funky track.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had the one cover I do have here was another group you don't associate with funky music. At least I don't, but they're probably the biggest band of all time. I can't get it out of here. You'll have to do it with the glare, but it's Come Together by the Beatles.
Okay.
Okay.
I think their funkiest track, and it's been done so many times again by some pretty funky artists as well, like Brothers Johnson and so many others. And then Black Crowes, Remedy. That track is super soulful and funky, and it's got those female background vocals adding to like the kind of, deep South kind of vibe, and the gospel and the soul and the funk to it. It's got a lot of different parts too. So I'm digging on that one. And the last pick I'll go with for an alternate. I have many others listed, but I think I'm going to go with Jack White, Lazaretto. Jack White, I think, is one of those newer artists. I mean, he's been around since the 90s at this point, but to me, he's a newer artist who has that blues and some funk in there. And he like really, he's playing for the music. He's not playing for fame or fortune or anything like that. He's real with what he does. He plays guitars that make his fingers bleed, whatever he has to do to get the real raw emotion out of his instrument. And I think he's really authentic. I dig what he does. And Lazaretto, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one. It was an alternative hit, I guess, at least. But it's got kind of a rap cadence to the vocal, and it's definitely funky. So if you haven't checked out Jack White and you like funk, Lazaretto is a great place to start. Cool. And those are my honorables, man. So,
hey, real quick. Earlier, Phil picked Cashmere. We were talking about that. I was actually going to go with the song before that on the Physical Graffiti album, Trampled Underfoot. I just knew somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, somebody.
Yeah, that was some straight funk right there.
Yeah, we got there's John Paul Jones
turning
Stevie Wonder. Yeah, so gotta sneak that one in there.
With that wraps up our official choices we had for the top 5 piece rock funk songs of all time. But just real quick, let's go around, final words. Phil, I think you've promoted your show already, but you can mention, what day it is and how people can hear it and so forth. So few words and just a little quick plug. So Phil, go for it.
Your boy Philly Phil, Uncut Funk with Phil Colley, now heard on P-Funk Radio, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time. Come check us out.
And thank you for being part of this again, Phil.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Right on. Marcus, what do you got for us?
I got a few things in the works. The only thing I'll give a slight mention to, myself and one of my former co-workers who did radio in Chicago, we're actually about to team up to start a podcast that's going to be live in person at a restaurant. So that's going to be coming pretty soon. So looking forward to that.
All right. Well, good luck with that. And
Make sure you tag us and let us know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Thanks for being part of the forum again, Marcus.
Yeah.
Chaos, what closing words and a little promotion you got for us?
Yeah, keep digging and keep searching for music. Go out the box if you can. Catch me on Funkin Around with PTFI and Dav Id K-OS every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central time, and 9 p.m. Eastern time. On YouTube, on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/@PTFI.
Cool.
Check us out.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Always. All right. Thanks again, Chaos, for doing this again as well.
All right. Thanks for having me, Scott. Thanks.
Yeah.
And so with that, this closes this edition of Jam Fans Forum. I hope everyone listening, watching, enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Check out the description of this video for links to the songs that we talked about. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. And drop your own personal choices down in the comments for your top 5 rock funk, not funk rock funk this time, songs of all time. We're really curious to know what you guys think too. And also tell us what other topics, in terms of categories you'd like to see us take on in the Jam Fans Forum. For now, as always, this is Scott, Dr. Jigs Goldfine, saying keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.
Welcome to the Funk Show. Funk, yeah. Welcome to the Funk Show.